Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So I hope you've all had a chance to see the Game of Thrones season 4 finale, but now it's time to talk about season 5. And I think the most interesting conversation isn't so much, what they're going to do from the books, it's more what they're going to change from the books and how that's going to affect the story going forward. So Dan and Dave said that, they changed some big things this season, but even more things are going to change next season. So what I'm going to do in this video is just go down the cast list and talk a little bit about what I would like to see from each character next season. I'll make sure to say if someone had a bunch of changes this season from the books because that will affect what happens to them in the future. For the most part, there were only a few characters that had really big significant changes. So what I'm going to do is start with the characters we saw in the finale first, just because we saw them most recently, and then I'll circle back around and get the other main characters that we haven't seen in a couple episodes. Also, if I feel like this video starts to get a little too long, I'll just break some of the smaller characters off and do them in another video in the future. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. I try to keep videos from going longer than like 12 or 13 minutes. I know a lot of you guys want really long videos, but I feel like there's a certain limit to that. Also, in case you didn't see it, there's still time to enter the giveaway. Just make sure you watch the finale video I just posted after you watch this. It's really simple. It's not a contest or anything, but I'll put a link in the description for it. So here we go. Careful for spoilers from the finale if you haven't seen it yet. And just a quick note on potential book spoilers for Season 5. Because we are talking about Season 5, most of the conclusions that I make are just based on clues that Dan and Dave seeded in the episodes this season. So I'm not going to go too far into the books or do any super book spoilers or anything like that. So here we go, starting with Tyrion and Varys, who are basically travel companions now. There were a few callbacks to season 2 and 3 scenes in those final moments of theirs. First was the box. All I could think about was Varys' sorcerer that he captured. That was the exact same type of box that Tyrion climbed into. And then there were the bells. I felt like this was a stronger callback. Varys always said that he hated the ringing of bells because they always rang for something terrible, like an attack on the city or the death of a king. Tyrion made a joke saying that bells also rang for weddings. I guess you could consider that a moment of foreshadowing for the Red Wedding, which hadn't even happened at that point. But weddings on Game of Thrones are pretty horrific. The boat they're headed on is headed east just because nowhere else in Westeros is safe for them right now. Varys probably would have been fine, but remember how he had been working to strengthen the realm. Cersei is in charge now that Tywin's gone. She won't have to marry Loras, and Tywin won't be there to stop her from indulging her every whim. So Varys would not have a very easy time dealing with her. So part of the reason he left, I think, is also because he didn't want to deal with Cersei. On to number 2, Cersei and Jaime. Cersei, as discussed, will figure out she's in charge again and put the brakes on anything she doesn't like. On the bonus side, she'll be able to spend all her time watching over Tommen and Sir Pounce. I'll say Sir Pounce is someone that I hope they include at least once next year. The director of the episode that did Sir Pounce said that we shouldn't expect him back, but I think it would be a lot of fun. Jaime is probably going to continue to try and do things to get himself into the White Book, or get more glorious deeds into the White Book, but because Cersei has free reign now, she's probably going to try and continue the twincest. It's a pretty toxic love that they have, so I fully expect him to flip-flop back and forth all season. Just speaking as a fan, I would really like to see Jaime get to the place where he is a really honorable person like Brienne, but George R. R. Martin and Dan and Dave could totally decide that that is not in the cards for him. Number 3, up at the wall, Stannis, Melisandre, and Jon Snow. Stannis has a massive army there now, paid for with the Iron Bank's money. A lot of their money. It's actually big enough to man some of those other castles along the wall, so I really hope that they build sets for those other locations like the Night Fort. It's also possible that just to save money, they could spend all their time at Castle Black, but Game of Thrones is pretty good about building new sets for big locations, so I really hope we see some of those other castles. Melisandre gave Jon that really long stare through the flames. Anytime she stares at someone, it either means she's going to have sex with them at some point, or use them in some horrific plot, or in the case of Gendry, both. Until we learn a little bit more about the war with the White Walkers, I'm just looking forward to her digging her claws into him. Melisandre has always said that Stannis is Azor Ahai, but I'd love to see her put that on Jon Snow. He and Stannis shared that long look of understanding about burning the bodies, so he understands the threat of the White Walkers, but I don't expect Jon to completely buy into anything Melisandre might see in her flames as regards him. And the important thing to remember about her visions are that Jojen said that only green dreams come true 100% of the time, so her visions could just be of things that may have happened, not always things that will happen. Number 4, on to Bran's group. It seems like a lot of you guys were more interested in talking about Jojen's death as it affects the story, more than what was going on with Bran, so I'll start with that. All the Jojen stuff that happened in the books after they arrive at the tree is in Dance with Dragons, so Bran's story on the show was taken a lot from that book. He doesn't really appear in book 4 that much. Books 4 and 5 occur during the same time period though, so it's like one giant book split into 2. In the book, Jojen still has visions of his death. It just happens in a different way. So on the show, when the Three-Eyed Raven said that Jojen always knew he was going to die, he was just acknowledging that future fate. I think the show changed Jojen's death just to be more efficient. I don't think they intended to use him in season 5. From a story standpoint, he served his purpose. He was only there to help Bran reach the Three-Eyed Raven, which he did. And as for his sister Mira, she's basically done too. She was mostly Jojen's caregiver. Since she's still alive, I think she'll stay and help Bran with Hodor. Although Bran won't really need Hodor as much since they are in the cave. The way I look at that child of the forest is being like a Hodor to the Three-Eyed Raven, like a support person. So she's probably also going to start helping Bran too. Number 5, Arya Stark. She's one of the few characters that's traveling on her own, Gendry being the other big one that comes to mind. Just someone who's not traveling with another main character. Her ship is headed to Braavos, so she's probably going to try and look up Jaqen H'ghar, because she doesn't really know that many people that are from Braavos. Quick shout out for Syrio Forel. But because Arya's story is a huge part of the books that the show has not done yet, please be careful if you want to comment about book spoilers. I won't say what happens to her character, but I predict that the show will follow her story from the book pretty closely. So if you haven't read the books yet and you want to read about Arya's character going forward, you should start with Arya Chapter 1 in Book 4. That's Feast for Crows. She's a POV character in Book 4. The first chapter of hers takes place immediately after the last scene with her in the finale. So if anyone wants to read the books during the hiatus, Book 4 would be a really good place to start if you don't want to read the first 3 books. I understand a lot of you guys don't care about reading the books at all, you just want to watch the show, and that's totally cool. I'm totally fine with that. Number 6, Brienne and Podrick. So Brienne is still alive and mostly well after her fight with the Hound. They changed her plot in the books significantly, but I think she's just going to resume her search for Sansa and head towards the Bloody Gate. If they do end up making it there, I don't think they're going to find Sansa. I think she'll be long gone. Leading me on to number 7, Sansa and Littlefinger. Back when Blackhair Sansa was saying, "Shall we go?" she was referring to Littlefinger's plan to take Robb and Arryn on a tour of his holdings, so they're just going to head out and start traveling around the Vale. If you look at the map here, it's actually pretty big, so there are a number of places they can visit. But they're probably going to spend most of Season 5 just traveling around trying to avoid other characters. Number 8, onto Reek and Ramsay Bolton. A lot of Theon, or Reek's story as you want to think about him, came from Dance with Dragons, like the Moat Cailin stuff, but there's still a lot of it that they haven't done from the books yet. So I'll say the same thing I did for Arya's book story. Please be careful if you want to comment about spoilers, but I expect them to also follow Theon's story from the books pretty closely. So if you want to read Reek's story from the books, but you don't want to read book 4, don't worry, because they're both occurring in the same period of time, so you're not really spoiling yourself. You're not like jumping forward in time. But it starts with Reek Chapter 2 in Dance with Dragons. That's basically where the show left off this season. That's pretty much it for the biggest characters. I know we haven't seen Bronn in a long time, but he's mostly porking his new wife Lolly's. He's still listed as a main cast member on the show, so we will see him in any King's Landing stories next year. Since there are a billion secondary characters, we can just discuss them in the comments. So if there's someone that you wanted to talk about that I didn't put in the video, just write them in the comments. I know a lot of you are asking about 2 very specific big book characters that the show did not do. And just to answer you without being too spoilery for people who don't know about them, no, I do not think we're going to see them in the future. The director of the finale said that they were never on the table whenever they were in the story phase. Whenever they were planning the episodes out, they never talked about including them. So that doesn't mean they absolutely won't do them in the future, but I'm not expecting them to. And on the topic of book changes, Dan and Dave said even more things would be changing in Season 5, but mostly what I think will change is which characters run into each other. I think we'll see a few unexpected run-ins with people in Braavos and eventually Meereen. Braavos is a lot closer to Westeros, so I'm hoping we see Gendry there, but his character has changed so much from the books, it's hard to tell where we'll see him next. And I've already spent a lot of time talking about the new characters in Dorne and the Martells, so if you want to watch that video, I'll add it as a link in the description. But yes, we will see a lot of Dorne next season. They are filming in Spain. I'm really excited about that. So my next video is going to be the Q&A. I'll try to post it by tonight, but usually I post updates on social, so just follow me on Twitter or Facebook if you want to find out how the video is coming along. In Real Life Matters, I'm actually going to be going to VidCon this year, so if you guys are going and you want to do a meetup or anything, just let me know and I'll try to arrange something. But I'm going to be posting a separate VidCon video that explains what's going on. So right now, click here for my Q&A. I'll add an annotation as soon as I post it, and click here for my finale video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys tonight. High fives.